Hello and welcome back to episode 56 of the CrossFit Harrow podcast. We are here today sharing another story. Today we're going to share Sarah's story. Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
That was a very formal introduction.
It was.
The first question I tend to ask people when they come on the show is, what brought you to CrossFit Harrow?
I went to a different CrossFit first. I just went to one session. I was actually watching the session, and I'd never known anything about CrossFit before, was intrigued, was told to go along by a friend, and it was a bit intimidating at first when I first went. The guys were lovely, but it was just really hardcore, intense, and yeah, intimidating, I'd say. And
what was because of the workout, like the look of people's faces?
Just, I think everyone there had been doing it for so long, and the coach wasn't really helping the newbies.
Okay.
Because there was a couple of other people there as well, and it was just really like, wow.
Full on.
Yeah, nothing like I've ever done before.
Okay.
And was just a bit intimidating. So I didn't go back there, and I wasn't living in Harrow at the time, and then I came back to Harrow and I just thought, let me search and see if there's another one, and I had no idea that you guys were here, and I was like, okay, there's one down the road, and I came and found you guys.
That's so funny, because this year will be 6 years, and often people say, like, some of the other podcasts have been like, marketing works, but then some people say, I've lived in Harrow for like 10 years and I never knew there was a CrossFit here.
Yeah, literally lived in Harrow my whole life and never had any idea you were here.
I need to take a note of that and make sure that we advertise that better.
Yes.
Okay, so did it stick in your head that like this was something that you wanted to do, or were you willing to give it another go, obviously?
Yeah, I think I watched some more videos and stuff, and just did a little bit more digging, and when I looked at your site, it felt totally different.
Okay.
And the intro to CrossFit and just how you guys worked, and when you come along and you have a meeting first of all, and then you do the sessions one-on-one, it was just totally different instead of just being thrown into it. Because I've trained sort of ever since I was 15, 16, but I've never, done barbell work or any of like the gymnastic stuff, and I needed the hand holding at the beginning and just confidence as well, because I've never done it, and I just wanted a little bit of a...
I do think that's quite important with the confidence thing, and for me there is a direct correlation between the process that you went through to processes that people like maybe 5 or 6 years ago who didn't go through that, because obviously it has changed over the years, in terms of their longevity through fitness, their confidence, the amount that they can grow as an individual through training. So that's quite fascinating, really. School, sports, something you were into?
Yep, so I always trained and did athletics.
Okay.
I ran.
What distance?
I did 100 metres and I did relay, and people will probably laugh at that if they ever saw me run now, because I've totally lost that.
You don't say much about that though. I never knew that.
No, I competed, and I did, when in Harrow, if you've grown up in Harrow, you went to Bannisters and you competed against other schools.
I went to watch, but
yeah, so
wasn't that good.
And I competed against all other schools, and I loved it. I absolutely loved training, and after school I joined a health club and I worked there, and so I've always trained. I've had PT.
Okay.
I was really confident and happy going into a gym in that environment and doing body pump and spin and everything else, and so I've always done something, but just never anything.
But then 100 metres is more of like an individual sport. Obviously there was the relay, but you wouldn't spend a lot of time, I wouldn't imagine, training that. So at what point was it like, because a lot of people tend to, if you're in individual sport, it can be quite hard transitioning over to like group stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think, like for me, knowing it was just me, it was the confidence thing as well. So if I went and ran my best and stuff, and then coming into a group situation, even when I was back at, in the gym setting, it's quite intimidating, because just having to have that confidence going into when other people may be better than you or look different to you. I think it probably was a bit of a shock to the system, but knowing, I suppose, that I could have that base level of fitness.
Yeah, it's a mindset thing as well, right?
Yeah.
Because people can struggle from going, right, I've done this so much on my own.
Yeah.
to go into group stuff.
So yeah, I think it was a bit of a shock to the system going into a group setting.
And then did you continue that after school, or you just like once school was done, athletics was kind of done? It was nothing.
Yeah, athletics was sort of done. Like I didn't ever.
Was that it? Just fizzled out, just a choice?
Yeah, like some people would say that I'm really competitive, and I probably am in one way. But when it came to that, I wasn't. I was just like, oh yeah, I did it at school. I had fun with it, and then that was that. And I went to college and I did sports science at college, and again, you know, just trained myself really. I just never carried on with the competition.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you tried or have experienced like group classes in different environments, and there's probably a purpose or a time in your life where they served a good purpose for you and you enjoyed them.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I was really good at motivating myself, and as I've got older, that has gone.
Yeah. like things in your life at different stages.
And you know, I carried on running and doing more distance and stuff after school, so my happy place was chucking on my trainers and going for a run. And if I was grumpy or anything, my mum would be like, Sarah, just go for a run or something, because that's where I was happy, going and doing longer distances, and I could motivate myself to do that. And you know, working in the gym, I would take my kit with me and just, you know, go straight upstairs afterwards and train. As I've got older,
because that's hard in itself. So you went through a period of working in a gym, yeah?
Yep.
How long was that?
5-6 years.
Okay, so that can also be quite. I found in my experience, and even up till now, those who work in the gym at the same time of being very motivated can also be like, oh, this is like after coaching or doing your daily task and then having to be in that environment all day. It can be, like on the outside, it's like, but you're in a gym, it's easy, it's everything's there, but actually it's not that easy.
I think I saw it as more of a social thing because, you know, we were all around the same age, everyone that was working there, the PTs, the lifeguards, the people on reception, membership. It was more of a social thing, so it would be, I probably wouldn't be training on my own that much. I would be with somebody or chatting to somebody or doing a class with someone, or, hey, do you want to jump on that spin session together?
Yeah.
So it was more of a social thing for us, and then obviously we'd all go out drinking and stuff afterwards. So it was like this, it was just the whole social element of it.
But that's the fun part as well,
Yeah.
right? That's the, I guess in, you know, with moving over to the CrossFit world, that's kind of labelled as a community, but equally there are communities in other areas of different gyms and stuff. What was something that like a turning point in, like, was it in your 20s or like now, or, you know, even as a teenager, was it like, right, health is very important to me? Was there anything that happened along the way, or has it always been like, just because you've got that nature inside you?
Different things. So when I was younger, it was just all about how I looked and confidence coming from that.
And obviously, having done several podcasts with females and just general conversation, that seems to be quite a big thing. Yeah,
it was a big thing, and I think in the back of my mind it's probably still there, but my focus is totally different now because I know who I am and what I can do.
And older, wiser.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But when I was younger, it was purely on, it wasn't about how much I could lift, it wasn't how far I could run, it was do this so I can fit in that dress.
Was self-image something that you struggled with?
Yeah, massively. And because I'm short as well, I always just felt bigger than what I was. And
I'm 5'9", so
but it
can't be that short.
No, but
I'm not actually 5'9", I'm 5'7".
In my head, I just look at myself, and I've probably been, other people probably don't help either, because, you know, when you're younger, you're, you know, labelled as stumpy or dumpy or whatever because you're short, and that's stuck in your head.
Never experienced anything like that because I'm so tall.
And, you know, it's things that stick with you. So, yeah, you know, it was, do I fit in those jeans, or do I have that thigh gap, or, you know, have I got, you know,
because it was almost abs. An expectation for a female to be like that.
Even before like social media and everything, it was always still there to look nice and to be, you know, a size 8 or whatever.
Yeah, and actually, although social media wasn't as available as it was then, but it would have been in like press for like celebrities or famous, but like
magazine and you know, Just 17 or whatever you were growing up with.
There was OK. Is OK magazine still around?
It was
I remember my sister.
You know, pretty skinny girls that we all aspired to look like.
Which, you know, has such a massive impact, like subconsciously, even up until maybe now, like where people might or may not be aware of it, but like even now, maybe like certain decisions people make would still have that in the back of their mind.
Yeah, like there's certain days where I will still wake up and go, you know, have that in the back of it will be in the forefront of my mind of like, yeah, I am going to CrossFit today, or I am going to do a run or whatever because of that. But most of the time now, my aim is to be the strongest and healthiest that I can be now.
And you've come away from that, like, I'm doing this for that reason, like you're doing it purposely for you and how you feel.
I know what clothes suit me now. I know what I look best in. I you know, I am who I am, and this is what my body and how I've always been. I'm not automatically gonna, you know, in the next few days grow 3 inches and get a thigh gap. Like that's not gonna happen. I am.
But some people would project those expectations on themselves. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Be very detrimental. I don't like lockdown. I'm interested to find out how people dealt with that, because like we're not in one, but we kind of are really in some respects. Out of the 3, what was your hardest, and how did you deal with it? Like, what was the hardest point in any one of those lockdowns?
I'd probably say this most recent one. I think early lockdown and last March and even like July and everything, it was sunny and we could get out still a little bit. And
because that's when that's around
when I joined, July last year. And it was like this time last year, the weather was amazing. You know, we could get out and have our daily dose, and I was walking loads more and still getting to have walks and see friends and stuff. And the same coming here in July.
Outdoors, by the way.
Outdoors, it was outdoors. It was just, I think the weather really helped.
Yeah.
And then it came in sort of the December one, and it was dark mornings and cold, and you know, I enjoy doing classes online, which we're doing, but if I'm at home, I'm less motivated to do it. And especially with work, like if I booked in to do a lunchtime one, but a call ran over or I saw an important email, I was prioritising that and not myself. So when, you know, we got to come back inside or do the outside bits, that was great for me.
So this one actually has been the hardest one to...
I'd say so, just because of the weather and the darkness and the motivation.
Do you think it's got anything to do with the fact that, like, subconsciously we kind of almost know that we could be out of this, but at the same time we actually could go the other way?
Yeah.
I'd like to think we were not going back the other way.
No, but it felt just like a never-ending sort of trudge through mud. It was like, when is this going to end? Is it going to end? And, you know, I work in the NHS as well, so I could see the other side of people being really poorly, but also selfishly, you're like, is this ever going to end?
Did that have an impact to seeing those people?
Yeah, I'm not on the front line, but I speak to people daily who are, and you can see, even just within, you know, even if you're speaking to the other guys who work on the admin side of things, working from home and everything, people's personalities have changed. Our dynamics have changed. Being in front of a screen all day and having that dynamic, it has changed people. It's made people a bit more introvert, I think.
And maybe having a negative attitude towards certain things, like maybe telling themselves they can't do something, they can't achieve this, or like fitness related or not, but just in general. But
it's not having that people interaction. I thrive off of being around people. So sitting at home in my kitchen in front of a computer all day, by the time 12 o'clock comes, I'm exhausted because I've got no one to feed off of, and apart from me. And even the 10-minute walk to the station in the morning, the 10-minute walk home, just getting that bit of fresh air. Whereas some days I was
just seeing things.
Like I wasn't leaving the house. I would be doing a lunchtime workout with you guys on Zoom. I'd then be just sitting at my laptop. I would be like, it's too cold to go out, so I'm not even going to walk the dog today. Like it got a bit of a stuck in a rut.
The interaction is, I think, like catching up with people and talking to people. That's been the hardest thing a lot of people have struggled with. And also, like being at work, a lot of your time, I guess, is, although it's not productive in terms of working, but it's productive in terms of the engagement that you have with people around you. That's also what people missed out on.
just waiting for that call to come in and
yeah.
oh, there's a place there.
Yeah,
I can speak to someone.
But what was the coping mechanisms? What did you know, was there anything in particular that you said or you can say that worked really, really well or kept you in your mindset a certain thing?
Getting into a routine. So because it was so new and I'm used to going into the office, 5 days a week, I didn't really work from home a lot unless, you needed to, and, my boss would be cool with it. But it was getting into a routine, and there was times where I'd let that slip and it would really affect me. Yeah, so it was making sure I got up at the same time.
That was the hardest thing, I think, even for me, getting up at the same time.
Getting up, because I used to do it 8 till 4 in the office, but because we were working from home, I was like, I might as well just do 9 to 5, it's fine. And there was times where I was getting up at 10 to 9 and just walking downstairs and not doing
dress from here upwards.
Literally not doing the prep work that I would usually get up and have some me time in the morning and have a nice cup of tea or coffee and just sit and whatever. It was just can't bother to do that anymore, don't need to.
People, I think, lost a little bit of purpose.
Yeah.
It was just get up and kind of just see what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was just, there's no point going for a walk around the block and pretending I'm going on a commute and things like that, which is,
I mean, that to some degree that works for a week or two. Right, I'm going out. I want to go and see what's going on around here, or just go and get my daily coffee because I think most coffee shops are pretty much open anyway. But then that novelty wears off of going out just for the sake of going out.
And it was cold and raining or snowing, and
we had a bit of,
you're just I've got all the good intentions, and then you're like, nah, it's all right actually.
So routine really helped.
Routine, yeah.
And is that something that you've continued now?
Yeah, I do, and especially the past sort of month, I've nailed it now. I know where I'm at. It's only taken me a year, but I've nailed it. I've actually,
But in perspective, if it's taken you a year and then the next 50, 60 years now are nailed, then...
Yeah. So, I get up at the same time every day. I'm going to bed at the same time every day. I've got my morning routine.
That's a hard one too.
Yeah, is really hard.
That's a very hard one.
Because you can get sucked into scrolling and things like that before bed.
Do you have much phone time or TV time or anything like that?
I limit myself now.
Okay.
So I limit my social media, and I don't go on my phone sort of after 9 o'clock. I listen or read. I usually listen to have an audio book before bed and stuff.
Where you wouldn't have done any of this before, or you would have?
Audiobook and stuff before bed. I love reading and stuff, so that's quite normal for me to have some audio time or reading time during the day.
Yeah.
But no, now the limiting my phone after 9 o'clock, no social media, all of that is all new. And because otherwise, I'd sit there till 12 o'clock at night looking at other people's lives.
Yeah.
Because
you don't realise how.
You have no idea. And I was on TikTok for all of 2 days, and I was like, this is going to take up my life. So I came straight off of it because.
I never got into it, but I often find to come up with new content and get ideas, I would often explore Instagram to see what was going on, topic to talk about, individual, and I found that I put it down to work purposes, spent a little bit of time, or maybe too much time, and it's easily done.
It consumes you.
Yeah.
Because
you can still be so focused on you and everything else, but you would just get so consumed.
Yeah, I'm like, what are they doing? Because I'm sitting at home doing nothing, so let's live through everybody else.
What and obviously working in the NHS and stuff, how what was stress like? How did you was that high? Was that
At the beginning, it was really high, and obviously I'm not frontline, but we are at the support
You've got all the
service.
back end stuff though. It's
it's a support service, and working in training, everything that we did was face to face at the beginning. So a
lot of new protocols.
Yeah, everything had to change. So all of a sudden, we're not from 1 week to the next. You must work from home, but also now you're working from home, and you have to have everything that we usually do face to face
available,
digitally and virtually. Do it now, and it was just okay. And then, so we're all trying to work as a team. We're all trying to, there were some days with my colleagues that I'd literally just have Teams open, and we were on Teams calls for ages, just trying to communicate and get stuff built, to put content out there for staff, especially important COVID content that they had to be trained on before going into ICU and things like that. It was really demanding.
Some of the I might be wrong, but maybe some of the tasks it's almost not. There's some things that you absolutely have to do for staff because they need to know that. But it might have been quite hard for the staff to like want to sit in on these and listen to those, because it's like, well, there's so much going on. What do I?
Everyone literally was just. It just felt like we were over-consuming, because we had to take in all this new information. No one really knew what COVID was, what's going on, how to treat it. But then there's all these new protocols of what people have to do if you are treating somebody. And so that's really overwhelming for clinical staff who have to be on a ward all day, and then you're expecting them to log in and do all these virtual trainings and things like that, or fill in this survey, or... You know.
And to you, the survey is important, but to them actually means nothing, really.
Yeah, because, everything that we do in a hospital has to be reported to somebody, whether it's NHS England or somebody else. Everything's reportable.
It's data, isn't it?
Yeah, so to them they just want to treat their patients, but then we're on the other side nagging them to fill in a survey, or you must click on this piece of training and watch this infection control video. And
although they know it, they have to tick it and say I've completed it.
Exactly. So at the beginning it was just go. It was just constant, and it was hard, and I don't think we stopped to take a breath really for like the first 6 months, and then you sit there and go, wow, look at what's happened.
That time's gone by.
Yeah, look what's happened and what has been achieved. It was an experience.
Yeah, I bet. And with regards to, like, obviously you can't speak for the NHS, but going back in, are you still working from home? Is it a balance between the two, going in, or will you go back to not full time, but?
Because we're a support service, we're linked with, we're under the same umbrella as HR. The view is, if we don't need to be in, what's the point of being in? Us going in is just going to add more risk, really, because we work on site at a hospital. It's not like we have a separate office or anything. We are on site, and we don't really need to be mixing with the clinical staff. So at the moment, we'll stay at home. I'm guessing, and it is just a guess, over the next 6 months, we might have to go back in on rotas or part-time, but like there's been no communication on that at the moment.
I think it's going to be really hard for people to go back into society.
Yeah. Honestly, when all this started, when Boris did his thing saying on the 21st of June we're going to sort of go back to a new normal, I panicked. Yeah. And I even turned around to my boss and was like, they're not going to expect us to go back in straight away. I need notice. Yeah. Like, because I'm hermit now. Yeah, it has to be
like you've adapted so much to like be in where you do what you do now.
It's taken me a year to get this new routine, and now I'm going to have to change that routine.
Yeah. And people don't like. We've said people don't like change.
And even thinking about getting on a tube again, like I haven't been on a tube since last March, and having to then do that, and if we're all going to go back in at the same time, how's that journey going to look?
Well, I mean, I'd hope to say that, or hope to think that a lot of businesses would have, like this tip, like the stage, the 5 kind of roadmap to kind of being back. But I don't think for like another year or two, people's businesses or work will go back to like everyone in the office completely.
I think it's going to be a slow, long process, especially because I work in Chelsea most of the time. People, if they don't have to spend money on rent, they're not going to spend money on rent, and they're going to have most of their staff working from home. So hopefully, like private companies and stuff like that, they might not send their staff back.
And now in terms of like, if we go back to kind of fitness side of things, what has been, is there any challenges that you felt like over the last 12 months? Obviously, we know that COVID, with the whole stuff with that, but anything particularly that stuck out that go, no, I need to change that. I want to improve on this, or I want to, whatever that might be. Because obviously, going younger, we went through the stages of like self-image was kind of big things. Is anything like 20s and early 30s?
I think hitting 30, I was more aware of not what I look like and how I feel. Now that I'm mid-30s, I just want to be, feel as good as possible and be strong, not as in lifting,
just feeling strong.
And since I've started CrossFit, I notice that I do, and I wake up in the morning and I feel good in myself. I don't have that, lethargy of, wanting to go back to bed.
Is that a belief thing though? Do you think that's down to a belief system that you installed in yourself over maybe the last 12 months?
Possibly.
Because some people do get out of bed and think, oh, fuck this, I don't want to do today.
Yeah, I think there has been times, especially over COVID, that I've definitely felt like that early on. But I think this, and I think CrossFit and you guys in this place have given me the motivation. I'm buzzing when I come in here because you guys are all like the nicest people on the world and nice and welcoming. There's no egos here. You come into a class, everyone's your cheerleader, and it's just a really nice atmosphere, and it's motivating, and you see, the little improvements each week, and I think that's what I was missing from previously training and stuff like that. Yes, I was fit and could do stuff, but here you get to see little improvements.
Yeah, it's just the marginal gains
and stuff, and by no means, am I a pro, or it doesn't come naturally, what I'm trying to say. So, when you do something and it feels good, it's a buzz, and you want to come and do it again.
That I would say that the last few weeks and months, because you've heavily invested in yourself, there's been like a massive change in let's say your performance. Like just some of the workouts that come out have been destroying them. And it's so good to see it's so good to see from like my point of view that when someone does apply themselves and have a change mindset where they want to do things for themselves, to say actually like I've done this for me, and then the result of that is like I feel amazing, I'm performing better, I sleep better, whatever it might be. It's really good to see that from an outside point of view. So that's a well done.
Thank you.
What are the plans for you and your fitness for the next 6 months, 12 months? Is there no plan? Is it?
No, there is a plan, I think. The last few weeks, and especially when we got to do like the personal training as well, I noticed a massive difference in myself, and I think that's been a turning point over the last sort of 6 weeks.
That's what I mean.
And I think like that has really helped me, because I went from, I think, judging myself because some things didn't click as quickly as I wanted them to, but then spending that time one-on-one has done the world good.
Going for that learning process and slowing things down a lot.
Exactly, and and I suppose I am sort of a bit competitive in class.
It's not about time, it's not about speed or rounds.
But in my head I'm like, they've said that I've got to get through these rounds and I'm going to do it, and then I don't think about form. So having it slowed down and having those one-to-one sessions have been great, and now I've got some more. And
I think people often a lot of the stuff that you see on social media or even on the Netflix you see things that are like at the top level, and sometimes at the top level, because it's competition, because there's money on the line, people will often sacrifice how they move to win. And I think naturally we all will, but in order to be able to do that, you have to go back to the beginning and move very, very well in order to obviously reduce the risk of injury.
In some of the classes I completely zone out because I can just see what's on the board, and there's a time limit there, and my brain goes, oh, win, and it's not about that, it's about remembering to do the form at the same time as well.
And it's interesting because obviously, as you know, we haven't revealed the programming in advance, and that's purely for one of those reasons, to try and take that pressure off people and go, just fucking relax, just go in and enjoy that hour, and there's no expectations on what you should, rounds wise. When you're here, we'll tell you the objective for the day, and it's so. I mean, I might ask you later and different ways of how to take that pressure off people. Or what works for you and
I think
others.
Also hiding the workouts helps, because I would look sometimes. Most of the time I wouldn't look, but sometimes I'd look and go, there's wall balls coming.
Yeah, I remember when I first started CrossFit 10 years ago, and there was no technology. You turned up to the box, you done your work. I distinctly remember one day there was a 5 rep max front squat on a particular day. My legs were ruined. Next day, didn't know what the workout was. Woke up and we had it was wall balls, or I think burpee box jump overs or burpees. My legs were dead, but there was you just turn up and you just get on with it. And obviously there is pros and cons to that, tactically, but it is the fun. It's the fun side. So that's quite interesting. So going back to plans of you for the next couple of months or years, or
I think improving my technique is the main focus, especially my overhead stuff, because all my training and everything has always been focused on running or legs and everything like that.
And the last year as well,
So I've always been weaker up the top. So I'm focusing lots on overhead stuff and trying to build that up, and also my squatting and stuff, and just building that technique and the confidence as well. I think because I think the confidence with me is just to make sure that I'm doing it right, because in my head, like even Case filmed me a couple of weeks ago, and in my head I'm going, I'm doing this all wrong. It doesn't feel right, I'm doing it all wrong. And then I saw it and I was like, oh,
actually
looks all right.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that, that's fine. And it's nice to see that, and so then when I do go into class,
because we are our own worst critics.
And I definitely am, like and I'll look on that board and I'll go, I can't do that.
And as a female, like with the nutrition side of things, obviously males and females are having different goals and stuff like this. But what's your approach on that? How do you manage that? What do you do about that element?
Well, the past couple of months hasn't been great, and a lot of pick and mix has been consumed. So I'm back on that now. Okay,
but as in, like, it's not something that you take so seriously that it stops you from having fun in other areas?
No, like back when I was younger, I would restrict, I would punish myself basically, and hardly eat, because that's what other girls were doing. And if you don't eat as much and train loads, then you're going to be skinny, so do that. But now, like, I haven't done that absolutely years, and I eat what I want within moderation.
Within
like if I want a burger and a bit of cake, I'll have a burger and a bit of cake, and I enjoy food, and I don't want to just be eating salad leaves. I want to enjoy my food. I want to. Yeah.
Like, you can't have this, you can't have that. I think the reality is, like, we all enjoy food. We all love food. But knowing how to balance the foods that you like, with how you exercise or what you're exercising. And I think the key thing to think about is it's all relevant to the training style that you're doing. If you're, just pumping loads of weight, and this is probably mainly predominantly to guys, but also in the kind of women's world, like if you're constantly just adding calories and eating, and you're not, exerting that, you're going to naturally put the weight on.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've got a relaxed mindset about food now.
So I find women do struggle often with things like that.
It's taken a long time, but I think the people that I surround myself with and my family and stuff like that, we're all food lovers, and like it's social as well, right?
Yeah.
Like,
how important is that to you, having those people around you?
Like massively. Like, and also I've grown up, and probably a lot of people did that are my age, that food's love, right? You fall over and hurt your knee when you're a kid, and you get a bit of cake and chocolate, and that.
Yeah.
And
hey, can't you stop crying then?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's it. A bit of chocolate makes everything better. And I don't want, I don't want to be that person who goes to a party and, or a barbecue or something, and goes, I can't eat that because, I'm only eating 1,200 calories, or I don't, I just don't want to be that person.
I remember a long time ago, I went out and someone offered me a drink. I was like, I've got my car or something. I was driving that particular night, and someone was like, you're not having a drink because you're into fitness? And I was like, no, because I'm fucking driving. It's got nothing to do with, like, it's often like, just because people are into fitness, it means you can't enjoy yourself or manage things a little bit better. It's just
I think people probably assume that of me now, if I was to say I'm not drinking or whatever, because I did used to be that person, because it would be in my mind a lot, and I'd be like, no, I'm not drinking tonight, or no, I'll just have the salad or whatever else. But no, now.
What would you tell your younger self if you look back? It's from when you finished athletics, and obviously over those years becoming more and more aware about how you think, how your body operates. What would you tell your younger self?
Relax and just be yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. I think would
that be the same answer to women suffering from
you are you. You're unique. Just embrace yourself and be yourself. There was so long, when I was younger, that I would compare myself to everybody else. Yeah. What they were doing, what activities they were doing, if they were stronger than me, skinnier than me, running further than me. It was a constant comparison, and I'm me.
It's competition,
Yeah.
like, you know, with yourself
Yeah.
and not other people.
So yeah, just relax and just accept who you are and be comfortable in that.
Career-wise, is it something that you wanted to move into? Have you always been involved in like wanting to help people? Obviously, your job is very much dependent on teaching and learning in some respect, right?
Yeah, I think my role is definitely a support service and helping people.
And that might also be based, like, related to your personality, like you know, like wanting to have conversation, talk to people, get to know people.
Yeah, I like to fix things. I think people would probably say I'm a fixer. So if someone's got a problem, I want to help them and I want to make things better and, you know, just have a resolution and help people, really. So I would say that in every single part of my life, you know, family, friends, work, I just want to be that person that can help, really.
What's been your biggest win in life? Like a takeaway point in your life where you thought, do you know what? I've nailed it. I've still got a lot to go, but I've nailed it. Or a major turning point for you.
I think it will probably be this last year to 18 months, and that is doing exactly what I just said and relaxing and accepting myself and not judging myself on every single thing I do. Especially, you know, walking into here, I was so nervous and I was like...
Well, I done your...
Yeah, but the thing is, as soon as I walked down here and I saw all you guys smiling and being welcoming and stuff like that, I totally relaxed. But walking in here, it was like, Sarah, why are you doing this? You can't do it. There's going to be, you know, other people in there that are stronger, whatever. You're going to look like a tit, basically.
And it is often self-doubt that stops you from doing a lot of things.
And, you know, the last... 12 months to 18 months, I have relaxed. And yes, I can't, there's some things I can't do, but I'm trying, and I'm trying my best. Yeah. And that's all I can do.
Yeah, and that I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, we all expect whether to be in a certain place or achieve this or that, but as long as you're making that small marginal gain every day towards it, it makes a massive difference. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Very interesting story to hear how you've gone from feeling a certain way, complete opposite ends of the spectrum, and I think a lot of people, both male and female, can relate to that. I think very interesting. Guys, join us back next week for another episode of the CrossFit Harrow podcast.